Trying to live up to originals is never an easy task. In recent years, Disney has attempted to remake a number of its animated classics as live-action films with new productions of Aladdin, Mulan and now Snow White. Actors with dwarfism have been snubbed for the roles as dwarves. Rachel Zegler, portraying Snow White, has commented that Snow White is, quote, not going to be dreaming about true loves. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave and true. End of quote. That takes us some distance from the Grimm brothers fairy tale. Who better to join me now to discuss this than the legendary lyricist of Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Chess, and Disney classics, including Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King, Sir Tim Rice. Tim, it's marvellous to have you back on GB News. How are you?
I'm fine, I think, Michael. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Tell me about the rationale, the philosophy, the policy here of going in for all these remakes. Does this make good commercial sense? Is it what the public wants? Is it what you want, by the way?
Well, I was only involved in one remake, actually two in a way, because I was partly involved in some of the songs for Aladdin, but I was very involved with Lion King, which was remade. And that was an exception to most of the rules because it's obviously a film, a story that doesn't have a princess in it, and it was more or less an original story first time round. I didn't think the live-action so-called version worked as well as the cartoon, partly because it's extremely difficult to make animals, even though the whole thing was constructed and in a way was a sort of cartoon itself, but to make real-looking animals have expressions was almost impossible, and a lot of humour seemed to go from the film, I felt. But that was a bit of an exception. When you have something like Snow White, which is an ancient story, early 19th century, and which when I didn't realise this until I did a little bit of research on it. It was actually made into a silent film in 1912, I think, and it even appeared on Broadway. And it was on Broadway in 1912, I think, and a silent film in 1916. And this even that is a long, long time ago. And the story, as I understand it, the new version of Snow White, the story has been changed so much. The characters have been changed. The dwarves are not all dwarves. And you think, well, why call it a remake? Why not just make a new film with an exciting story? But I've no principle. I don't really have an objection to casting problems. I think anybody, if you're an actor, should be able to play any part. And the only thing really that matters is whether the actor is good and right for the part. We had problems with Evita on stage recently, once or twice, when theatrical companies have said, well, we can't find a brilliant Latino or Latin or Argentinian even actress to play the lead role. Well, it's been played many times by people from many different nationalities, many different races, and the only thing that really matters is, are they any good? Can they convince in the role? And I think that's what should apply to all the Disney films as well. Do they work as movies? And if you start with a story that was written in 18, whenever it was, by the brothers Grimm, and you change it so much, you aren't really recreating the story. You're doing a new film, which may or may not be good.
And what about the sexism thing? I mean, I was slightly poking fun at Rachel Zegler there, her quotation about, Snow White being an empowered young woman and so on. But maybe I shouldn't have done, because the attitudes that we took to women and their destiny in life being to marry princes in those days, I mean, that is a bit dated. And, it could cause considerable offence to remake it in that way. What do you think? Are you bothered by that? Do you think we now need to make our remakes more relevant to our culture of today and our prejudices and outlooks of today?
Yes, I think you have to take in the views of today. But you shouldn't be completely hidebound by them. And I don't think the 1937 Snow White, for example, is now a bad film, because it reflects its time, and it was sincerely made, and it was extraordinarily popular. And in actual fact, the character Snow White in that early film isn't just a cipher. She actually makes a few decisions, and she's a very good and nice person. But you can't do that again now, and why would you want to? Because it's been done very well back in the almost what seems like the Stone Age of cinema. It's been done jolly well, and my only question is really why in a way call it Snow White? Why not make a brand new film with an exciting story, which perhaps they've done. I haven't seen the film yet, but if it's a good story, well told, it should reflect and automatically will reflect the views of today.
Tim, is controversy simply very good for getting people to go to the cinemas? I mean, there's all this brouhaha over Snow White. It's months before it's going to be available to us, and I'm now sort of, well, half itching to go.
Yes, it obviously is good. Controversy usually is good, but if it gets cancelled, I mean, who knows what the film is like or what sort of attitudes it's perceived to take. But obviously it would be bad for Disney if the film got absolutely cancelled and ignored, or people say we're not going for reasons A, B, and C. But it's all down to the fact: is it a great story, well told, and is it fairly told, and are the characters believable? I mean, The Little Mermaid was the last one I saw. There was a remake of that, and that kind of, I mean, there's some great things in it, not least the brilliant Howard Ashman, Alan Menken score. But I sort of felt with Little Mermaid that sometimes they were taking away some of the excitement, some of the enchantment of the original. But I'm just such a cartoon fan, and if a cartoon works so brilliantly like Little Mermaid did, or even like Snow White did back in 1937 when even I wasn't around, it's often a mistake to try and redo it. But you know, remakes can work. I mean, the Aladdin remake worked pretty well, and there've been, I think, 13 or 14 princesses in Disney films over the years, and in most of them, films like Mulan or Pocahontas or Tangled even, the female role is usually pretty strong, and you've got to go back quite a long way to have an excuse to criticize a film for being unfair to women. I think the recent Disney films, whether good or not, have done women justice.
Sir Tim Rice, thank you very much. Could I thank you for all the excitement and entertainment that you've given us all over several decades? Great to see you on TV News.
Thank you very much.